You're fired!
Finally, the Bears did what needed to be done. Matt Eberflus is no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
Yes! Yes!
And what a day it was. This is something historic for the Chicago Bears. Absolutely historical. Because in the first time in the history, 105 years of the Chicago Bears, and there has been some bad years, they have fired a head coach mid-season.
Yeah!
It is crazy to think that that hasn't happened with the Bears. It is crazy to think that they actually did it. A lot of fans have been clamoring for it, including me, for the last couple of weeks, that Matt Eberflus' job is needed to be gone. And that is exactly what happened. And I'm actually, to be honest with you guys, I am 100% surprised that the Bears actually made this move, because we've seen scenarios where we just know it's time for the coach to go. It's time for things to change. It is time for a new thing in Chicago. Mid-season, whether it's been times with Tremaine, whether it's been Matt Nagy, whether it was John Fox, I'm not going to say Lovie Smith because he got fired after 10-6, whether it was Dick Geron, the history of this franchise just doesn't fire coaches mid-season no matter how bad things get. Now, just to give a thought about Matt Eberflus' tenure, now we know 2022, I think I'm going to call that year a wash. Mainly, you were a rebuilding football team. You had to get rid of contracts like a Robert Quinn. Roquan Smith was traded mid-season. They ended up giving away or trading away Robert Quinn. Khalil Mack, Andy Dalton was gone after 2021. This team, we knew it was a rebuilding football team. Now, 2023, we started to see some improvement with a little bit of this roster, where it was the trade for DJ Moore, whether it was Tremaine Edmunds, whether it was TJ Edwards, whether it was the draft of Darnell Wright. This team saw some improvement. And then we had a higher expectations coming into this year. Now, but last year, they started off 0-4. They got hot down the stretch. Then the trading of Justin Fields happens. Then the drafting of Caleb Williams. And then on top of that, during his tenure, we went on a 14-game losing streak. Like I said, 2022, we're going to give that a little bit of a wash. At least in my opinion, a little bit, because the team and the roster just wasn't that good. 2023, things look better down the road. And this year, we really expected this team to really have things better. Now, the hiring of Shane Waldron has proven to be a mistake.
Trash!
I'm not going to say that drafting Caleb was a mistake. I'm just saying that it looked early on like maybe we should have kept Justin. But I'm not going to give any credit to Eberflus for this. And defensively, now we're talking about Matt Eberflus as a defensive head coach. Now, over the past 3 to 4 weeks, whether it's Arizona, whether it was New England, whether it was last week against Minnesota, whether it was this past game against Detroit, Green Bay, we've seen moments where this defense just does not live up, or this defense gives up the big play. And offensively, things got back with the firing of Shane Waldron, which was a Matt Eberflus hire. Tenure of Matt Eberflus' time in Chicago has been 1, marred with bad late game decisions. 2, bad roster. I will say that. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat that or make up some type of excuse. At times, especially 2022, I will say that the roster just wasn't very good. Questionable late game coaching decisions, whether it was the block or not getting more yardage on the field goal, Whether it was the timeout that was inexplicably saved this past week, and whether it was defensive decisions, especially against Minnesota, we just found ways under Matt Eberflus to lose football games. We had the blown lead against the Cleveland Browns. We had the last year. We had blown lead against Detroit last year. We got a blown lead against Denver last year. And they were a 7-10 football team in late game decisions. And I was I'm not going to say solely, but one of the reasons why he was let go. We just did not execute late game decisions.
Trash.
And after a while, I got tired of watching this press conference. I'm not going to sit here and watch, oh, we need to do better. Oh, I think I did this right. I got tired of it. During Matt Eberflus' tenure as the Bears head coach, this Bears team, especially this year, had the talent and had the makeup to be a much better football team. And we just didn't live up to it. And the last straw was the late game handling of this Thanksgiving game against the Lions. Not very good. Now, we have Thomas Brown, who not only was the passing game coordinator at the start of the season, moved up to offensive coordinator, and he's now the interim head coach of this football team. I am interested to see how things go with Matt Eberflus is gone and with Thomas Brown now being the head of this football team. It's coming out that players really like the things that Thomas Brown is doing. He's coaching them a lot harder. And I really would love to see how this football team responds going up against the San Francisco 49ers this week. Now, we do have a few extra days, especially with the Thanksgiving game, to really acclimate this team to Thomas Brown. But the message has been sent, and the deed has finally been done. Matt Eberflus is no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bears, and rightfully so, because that Thanksgiving game was a fireable offense. I had it. It was the last straw. If he didn't get fired for that, it just sent the message to the team that you could just do whatever, or you could just make bad decisions and there are no repercussions. Message sent with Shane Waldron's firing and with the now firing of Matt Eberflus. Now, coming into this year, a lot of people said, if you're going to get a quarterback, fire Eberflus. Now, I was one of those people coming into this year, it's like, a lot of the things that happened were not necessarily on Matt Eberflus. Especially 2022, that definitely was not his fault, even though we could have won some of those games. 2023, some of them late game decisions, yes. But I always say it was an offensive problem, offensive coaching problem. And I was wrong. It was a team coaching problem. It was a culture problem. It was an issue. And it looked like at points, especially this year, he lost the locker room. And I am just happy that the Bears have finally did this. They pulled it off. They pulled the trigger on it. And now he's gone.
Yeet.
That way this team gets to head into a new direction. We get to see these final few games because the playoffs are done. That what is this team going to respond to? How is this team going to respond? What is the makeup of this football team could possibly look like going into 2025? And how is this team going to respond performing-wise this last stretch of the brutal spot of our season? Because we still have each of our division opponents left. We still have San Fran, and we still have Seattle. All teams that are very reputable in the NFC and the NFL. So the handling of this for Thomas Brown is going to do a lot of telling as to whether he remains or whether they look in a new direction to get the head coach of this football team going forward. But the tenure of Matt Eberflus is over. The late game mishandles is over. The inexplicable decisions is over. And it's time that the Bears went in a new direction. But that is all I have. APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great next day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.